This is the East Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.
Yeah, that's right. Another edition of the East Idaho Prepcast at IdahoSports.com, breaking down District 5 and 6 activities week in, week out. My name is Brandon Baney, and now I'm joined by the guy that I just can't seem to shake. We did all of these 4A state girls basketball games together, and now here we are doing the podcast. It's Sean Kane. What's up, Sean?
Hey, man, I'm fired up, man. It was a great weekend up at the basketball, girls state basketball, and it got me all excited because Friday spring sports start. So I'm fired up. I'm like, I would just need the snow to go away, but then it'll be a little better. But if the snow would go away and it got sunny, whoo.
Yes. What it's not gonna get any warmer in East Idaho this week. I think high of 32 is what I saw in the 8-day forecast. So good luck with that.
I'm still pumped up. I'm still ready to go. Seeing all the competition and record breaking performances. I'm excited.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, before we get into it too far, I gotta ask you something. What is your middle name? And then I'll tell you the reason why I asked that.
What is my middle name?
Yeah.
Robert.
Okay. So anytime like my wife and I are talking about you, like, she'll ask me like, oh yeah, how was your time with Sean Kane? We always use your first and last name. It's never like, oh yeah, I had a great time with Sean. It's always, yeah, I had a great time with Sean Kane. And we I don't know why we always use your first and last name. So then she was like, I wonder what they got us thinking. We're like, I wonder what his middle name is. And I was like, well, he's Irish. Maybe it's like Patrick.
No. When you're in trouble, it was Sean Robert. That's when I knew I was in trouble. When that middle name, that's an Irish thing, and they call you by your middle name. Sean Robert. Yeah, but that's funny that you say that because no one ever calls me Sean, right? It's Mr. Kane, Coach Kane. I get a lot of just Kane, and so hardly anyone ever calls me Sean. So when someone's like Sean, I'm kind of like, who? my first name never gets used very often anymore, being a teacher, so it's kind of funny,
right? And yeah, in my house we combine your first and last name all into one, Sean Kane, and that's how we anyways. Nobody wants to hear about that. What they want to hear about are the Snake River Panther girls winning the state championship over Timberlake in the 3A final. Sean, this is a team that you've been high on ever since you saw them play at the East Idaho Holiday Shootout right after Christmas. And this is a team that's been on my radar since early January. I kind of did a deep dive into them for our failed top 25 daily series. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. I kind of did a deep dive into the Snake River team and what made them so good. And they had all of the championship blueprints, a bona fide, lead scorer, lead guard in Riley Edlifson, great height, and complementary players, and excellent three-point shooting. And it all came to fruition as Snake River. Now, it wasn't easy. They got past Sugar-Salem in the semifinals by 2, 48-46. And then in the championship game, a little more comfortable of a victory. But congratulations to Coach Stedman and the Snake River girls for winning their second title in school history.
Yeah, and the thing that I always thought they were really, really great at was being a team. Like, it's just like a true team. You've got the scorer, you've got, Reese Baldwin, who's kind of like, reminds me of a Dennis Rodman player. She's willing to go out there, get rebounds, do whatever it takes to win. They have some inside presence, and yeah, Abby Gilbert had a big game in the championship, and they were just like a complete team. They had all the pieces to the puzzle. They didn't have to rely on just Riley to get the scoring. They had all those pieces. So for Snake River, congrats of just competing as a team and just one of the best team performances I think I saw at state.
Yeah, it was such a fun journey for them. And like we said, that 3A tournament, they nearly tripped up in the semifinals. Sugar-Salem ended up then competing against Teton. Boy, Sugar and Teton competing again for the 5 millionth time.
If we got a nickel every time we said Sugar versus Teton on this Prepcast, man, we'd have a lot of nickels.
Yeah, they were on the backside of the bracket. Teton finally broke through and beat Sugar in that third place game, despite a good effort from Kennedy Gillette, and we'll talk about her in just a second. I wanted to share, I got an email from one of the Snake River parents talking. No.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
No. Good email. 95% of the emails I get are good emails. And then it's that 5%. It's like, yeah, you guys are idiots. You don't know what you're doing and all that fun stuff. Okay. So I'm going to share a couple of pictures here up on the screen. The first one here I'll share. This is Camden Dunn from Snake River. She's a junior on the team this year. And that's her with the trophy and the net that they don't cut down the nets. They just give you a net. I don't know where they get the net from, but you get a net when you win the state. So that's her posing with her trophy. And then this is a picture of her with her dad, Rich Dunn. So this is the story here. 10 years ago, when Snake River won their other girls basketball championship in 2013, Rich Dunn was the head coach at Snake River. And Camden, his daughter, was 6. She was 6 years old at the time. But she remembered, and this is what their mom said in the email, she remembers vividly watching her dad. And now fast forward to 2023, Camden, now a junior, and her team, completed the circle. So dads won a title, daughters won a title. Rich has said that winning as a dad is way better than winning as a coach. So he would take this championship that he really wasn't the head coach for, as opposed to the one where he was the head coach. And then on the drive home from Boise, Rich and Camden were having the debate of which team would have won against each other if they had played 2013 or 2023. A great debate ensued. So could you, I could imagine that would take the full, 4+ hour drive home to talk about, which team was better, the 2013 squad or this current version. But it was kind of cool. Camden, as a 6-year-old, remembers watching her dad win the championship. And then she said one day she was going to win a championship of her own. And she delivered. How cool is that?
What a great story. I'm guessing she was one of the, the coach's kids that are always trying to shoot baskets at halftime and stuff. And they probably had to kick her off. But this time she didn't get kicked off. She came off with a championship. So that's the best way to end that story.
Yeah, so that was a great story, and big thanks to the Dunn family for sharing that with us. And hey, if there's a story out there you want us to share, please send an email, Brandon@IdahoSports.com, and we'll get it on the Prepcast. That's what we're all about, is sharing these cool stories about our young men and women in the state of Idaho. So congratulations to Snake River for winning the 3A title. Okay, so we talked about Sugar and Teton met on the backside of the bracket in that 3A third place game. In the process, Kennedy Gillette, in that third place game, she makes 7 3-pointers, which I believe tied the 3A record for most threes in a game. And then she scored 40 points as well in a single game. So what a performance. Now Sugar lost. And so, the win is really the only thing that matters at Sugar, but what a performance from Kennedy Gillette in a losing effort.
Yeah, just there's a lot of outstanding scoring performances this weekend, and Gillette has just had a phenomenal tournament, and congrats to her. I mean, of course you want to come on the other end of that, but still a great feat for her and her team. Yeah,
and so when we look at the 3A all tournament team, obviously Kennedy Gillette was on the first team. And then Riley Edlifson of Snake River was the MVP of the tournament. And then the defensive MVP was Reese Baldwin from Snake River as well. So an exciting time. And if you want to see the full list of tournament teams, you can do that at our website, IdahoSports.com. It's right there on the top of the homepage. And so that was pretty much it, more or less, in terms of championships. But man, we still had some really excellent performances as well. In terms of an individual performance, I think we have to talk about the 5A tournament, Sean, where, Thunder Ridge, the 2 seed, did go 2-0, but in the process, in the opening round, they lost a tight game with Rocky Mountain, and Marley Spencer from Thunder hit 7 threes in that game, tying the 5A state tournament record for most threes in a game.
Yeah, what?
Go ahead.
Oh no, we got to see her in that loser out game, and if she didn't get in foul trouble, she probably would have been in the chase for like most threes, because I think she hit 2 or 3 before getting in foul trouble in that game too. But yeah, she was on her way of having quite a 3-point performance for Thunder Ridge.
Yes, she did. She hit 3 in that loser out game against Rigby, which also suffered an upset in the first round. And like you said, if she doesn't get in foul trouble, I think she has a chance to challenge for the most threes in a single tournament. But unfortunately, just couldn't stay out of foul trouble in that second game against Rigby. And then, boy, on the other side for Rigby, Cambry Barber. This was the first time I had seen her play in person. I'm like you, watch a lot of film, but seeing somebody in person is so much different than on video. And my goodness, wow, she's awesome. She's already committed to BYU, I think. And so BYU kind of quietly is just
stealing all these East Idaho girls, right?
Yeah.
Brindley Cannon, we'll talk about her, I'm sure, but
yes. But what a cool deal. Cambry Barber of Rigby. Yeah, she's the real deal. She was as good as advertised for sure. My dog thinks so. Now let's talk about Shelly, because at the 4A tournament, Sean, this is where you and I were. Shelly was the top seed coming in. They get all the way to the championship against Sandpoint, where I thought Sandpoint did a really nice job of shutting down Shelly's transition game. You know, Shelly loves to get out and run in transition, and everything Shelly earned offensively was in the half court. And on most nights, it's good enough to get the win, but they were just a little bit short against Sandpoint. But man, what a great season it was for the Russets.
Yeah, I mean, don't get it wrong. The Russets might have lost that game, but it was a close game until the very end. And you know, you have to credit Sandpoint's defense, which is maybe one of the best team defensive performance of any division, really, that I can think of. That team defense of Sandpoint was very strong. But Shelly, man, they had lots of shooters, and obviously Brindley Cannon is a special talent, and you know, she was the defensive MVP of the 4A tournament, you know, averaging almost 11 rebounds. But you know, she pretty much had block shots in every game, right? She got multiple block shots, and they're usually big time block shots, and she was a presence down low. But the Shelly Russets and Jessica Carlson, you know, I had a chance to talk to her courtside and at the championship game, and that's a great group of young ladies, man. They're just fun. We got to see them come in before the game. They couldn't be the more loosest team right before a big state championship. Me and you were sitting up in the nosebleeds kind of by them, and I was impressed by that. They're just kind of low key and loose and drinking their chocolate milk. I don't know about the chocolate milk before a game, but you know, they were hitting those up pretty hard.
Yeah, we talked about that for sure. Brindley Cannon at 27 in that championship game loss, and she pulled down, I think it was 16 rebounds.
Yeah.
And, like you said, she averaged, you know, 2+ blocks per game for Shelly over the course of the tournament. I thought Hallie Behunin played really well for Shelly, you know, at state. She made our all tournament team. Mia Williams, of course, Gracie Lang, or excuse me, Kate. I got Gracie Stevens and Casey Lang, except Casey Lang scored 11 points in that championship game off the bench for Shelly, which was huge. And so Russets will be back there next year. Bad news is that Sandpoint probably will too. You know, their two best players, Aaliyah Strock and Carly Banks, are both juniors. I don't know. Let's get it going. Sandpoint Shelly round 2, right?
So someone with a red jersey could be back in the championship game.
Yeah, I think that's
bold prediction.
that's probably a pretty safe bet. And then on the other side at the 4A tournament, you know, Blackfoot came in as the 2 seed, Sean, and they went 2 and out. They just never could get it going offensively. They just had 2 cold shooting days in a row, which is uncharacteristic from that Broncos team. And so because of that, they go 2 and out.
Yeah, and we kind of talked about that, me and you, is if Blackfoot would have played any time of the day besides that first game, it might have been a different story. They just couldn't really get it going at that noon slotted time. And Miley Piper had some slow starts to the game. She finished with a lot of points in those games, but she had to earn all those points. It wasn't easy. Yeah, they were a little icy cold from the field, and it was just a struggle for them to kind of get points in the basket.
Yeah, Marley Piper and SB Vergara, we're so used to seeing them knock down so many perimeter shots, and they just never could get it going. And so that was too bad for Blackfoot there. Okay, 2A tournament. You had Ryrie and Westside play in the first round, and Westside gets the win in overtime. And that puts the Pirates into the semifinals where they fall. And then I got to see both of these teams, Sean, on Saturday in the kind of the consolation period of the bracket. And you had Ryrie up first against Grangeville. And they basically had the ball with 18 seconds left, tied at 49 all. They take a three from the left wing, it misses. Rebound left block misses. Rebound right block misses. McKinley Bond gets the rebound again. She's kind of falling away, puts it up as time expires, essentially banks it in. A little, shot from the right block. Ryrie wins by 2 in walk-off fashion. They get the consolation trophy. And then Westside comes out in the third place game and severely undersized against Coal Valley Christian. But they wanted it more. They just wanted it more. And they kind of dominated Coal Valley Christian in that third place game. So Westside comes home with the third place trophy as well, which was phenomenal. Aubrey Barzy was our IdahoSports.com player of the game. She's 5'1", Sean, and she had, 14 points and 9 rebounds. She almost had a double-double, and she's 5'1".
I mean, that's that enough said. I don't know what else you want me to say.
and like Natalie Lemon, at 6 foot was incredible as well. And so every team from East Idaho at the 2A state tournament came home with the trophy. Ryrie won the consolation trophy. Westside took third. And then Soda Springs, came home with the second place trophy. They played Melba really tough in the championship, Sean. It got to the fourth quarter and the fouls really started piling up on the Cardinals. And Melba shot a lot of free throws in that fourth quarter. And that was a big reason why they were able to win. But man, Soda also had a fantastic season. Yeah,
Soda Springs all year, kind of one of those top teams, and just kind of met that juggernaut and Melba this year. So, but congrats to Soda Springs, tough season, and you still come away with some hardware. It's a good trip to True Valley.
Okay.
True Value.
Yeah, True Value. That's a good trip to True Value. I think that's going to be the title of our podcast. Okay, so let's talk about the 1A tournaments where you had Grace competing from District 5-6. Boy, my dogs keep barking. I'm really sorry. Can you hear that every time she barks like
just
that?
A little bit? I can hear it a little bit, but
okay. That's always a fun time. I usually close the door to my office, but I decided to keep it open this time, and well, we see how that's going. So yes, at the 1A D1 tournament, you had Grace competing there. The Grizzlies came in. And at the talk at the 1A D1 tournament was, oh yeah, Lapway's going to roll. And that didn't happen. Lapway lost in the semifinals, but Grace, they fell in the opening round to Oakley in overtime in a very low scoring game, 33-28. But from there, Grace rebounds to win the consolation title over Liberty Charter. So that Oakley team, got to the championship game, lost to Raft River, and their defense was smothering. I mean, they took a high-octane Grace unit and held them to 28 points in overtime with the fifth quarter. That's a pretty impressive defensive performance.
Yeah, just Grace, had a nice job going through the back side of the bracket there, taking down Lakeside and Liberty Charter. So just good job for them. And the point totals, if you can hold teams under those, that's what you're after.
Yeah, needless to say, Grace scored a lot more than 28 points in each of their two subsequent wins.
Yeah.
Right.
60, 57. I mean, sometimes in the smaller divisions, those numbers aren't always up there, right? They're like the championship game wasn't even close to that. So, they were able to put points up when they needed to.
Yeah. And then at the 1A D2, Ledor went 2-0. Rockland played Council in the semifinals. This was a rematch of last year's championship, and Council kind of smacked them around a little bit, 42-24. We hadn't seen anybody really beat up on Rockland like that really since Grace. They played Grace like way back in November, and Grace kind of took it to them, but kind of uncommon to see that happen to Rockland. Now they did rebound to take third over Deary, so Rockland comes home with a trophy, but they weren't quite able to repeat, but still a nice tournament for Rockland there as well.
Yeah, definitely. Rockland had some high expectations, but Council, I mean, if you're going to lose in the semifinal, at least lose to the team that's going to win it all, right? I mean, that's, you played the best team in the tournament, and that's all you can hope for sometimes.
Yeah, there's no moral victories, but, that's a good way to rebound for Rockland for sure. So that's kind of the girls basketball recap. State wrestling is this weekend, Sean. We had our big Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast last night. We kind of broke down all the state tournaments. We took questions live. And so if you want your wrestling content, you can check that out. It's the Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast. I will tell you that we think Malad has a chance to go over and do some damage. Obviously, South Fremont, kind of the gold standard of 3A wrestling. At the 5A ranks, Highland, maybe Thunder Ridge, 4A ranks, Blackfoot. You're looking at possibly, but really it's those lower teams, Ryrie at the 2A, Malad at the 2A, South Fremont at the 3A that have the best chance of coming back with some hardware. And now let's talk boys hoops. We're going to go through the district tournaments and update, who's clinched and where all the brackets stand. If you're watching this on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel, you'll be able to see the brackets up on the screen. Maybe make your screen full size so it's a little easier to read. If you're listening at IdahoSports.com or wherever you download your podcasts, no worries. You can follow along. We've got the brackets up on the homepage at IdahoSports.com, and you can follow along with the brackets there. So let's start with the most recent stuff that happened last night, Sean, where you had at the district, the 5A District 5-6 tournament, you had Madison. Madison beat Highland in the championship last night, 53-32. Bobcats are going to state. Highland now advances to a state play-in game. Break down this game while I let my dogs outside for just a second here, Sean. This is going to be fun times on the podcast.
Well, you gotta really look at what Highland was able to do. Highland takes on Rigby in the first round, takes down Rigby 64-54 in overtime. Highland plays Madison again in that undefeated semifinal, and Madison wins 52-37, as you can see there. And then so Highland drops down, and Highland has to play Rigby again, and is able to beat Rigby again 2 times in a row as the 3rd seed, and Highland and Rigby's the 2nd seed. And so Highland gets that chance again up at Madison. But, I think Madison just pretty much flexed their muscle right there. 53-32 win over Highland. And, I've been talking about Highland all year is they're kind of I would say a new team because they have a new coach, Matt Stuckey, who comes in as a phenomenal player coach. And I think it just took them time to kind of gel, and they were able to get that going in the district tournament. And, they can't beat Madison, but Madison's the team that's just beat teams this year, right? They beat Hillcrest when they were undefeated. They beat Pocatello when they were undefeated. So, Madison with Wilson is a force to reckon with, and Highland will still have a chance, for that play-in game. And it looks like they will play. I believe it's a loser out of the Boise Valley in that game. But if you look at the bracketology on IdahoSports.com, just updated today, you've got Madison has punched their ticket, so they'll be at the tournament, but Highland will have a chance.
Yes. Top 4 seeds have all clinched. I agree with everything you said. That was great. It looks like Highland is probably going to be playing Centennial.
Yeah, they play. I was saying, I'm pretty sure they play a Boise team, right?
Yeah, and I mean, it's not official yet, but I don't think Centennial is going to win their game, and then Highland would play Centennial, and that is a winnable game for Highland. It really is. So go get it, Rams.
I mean, for Highland to beat Rigby twice to get this opportunity, I was saying they're kind of a young team in the fact that their coach is new and they're kind of gelling at the right time. But, Madison is a team that finds a way to beat people.
Yeah, they sure do. They're so talented. No doubt about it. Okay, let's talk about the 4A High Country Conference, District 6. That's not okay. District 6. Thursday night, you've got Hillcrest and Blackfoot, the top 2 seeds. Blackfoot got past Shelley by 6. Hillcrest only beat Skyline by 9, and we talked about this. And now on the back end of the bracket, Skyline nips Idaho Falls last night, 50-46. So Skyline will play Shelley Thursday night as well. Winner of that will stay alive. We talked about this a couple weeks ago where Hillcrest isn't this big dominant team. I think the gap has narrowed between Hillcrest and the field a little bit.
Yeah, Hillcrest had I believe that game against Skyline we talked about, we thought was kind of close. And, Blackfoot is a team, that district championship that, it's going to be between Blackfoot and Hillcrest. And Blackfoot's a team on any given night, they could come out and, compete with a Hillcrest or another kind of bigger team. And it just kind of depends on what team shows up. So it should be an interesting game up at the dungeon, right? They call Hillcrest the dungeon.
Yeah.
Up there Thursday night.
Yes, that's going to be a fun game for sure. And then, the nice thing is that for Hillcrest or Blackfoot, whoever loses, they still have a chance to get there via a second bid to state. The same cannot be said in District 5, where you've got now, we got to talk about last Friday, Pocatello hosting Preston. The Indians get a 57-54 win at the Pit. And now the onus is on Pocatello. They beat Century last night, 75-53. This is a game you were at, Sean, so we'll get your analysis in a second. But now the onus is on Pocatello. They've got to beat Preston not once, but twice to get to state. Yeah,
and this is, I've said this all season. One of these teams is definitely not going to be happy not to be at the state. They're, Max Prep's ranking, they're 2-3. Pocatello's 2, Preston's 3. One team's going to be a little unhappy to get there. But, speaking of last night, I went there. Century gave them everything they had. They were leading after the first quarter. But there's only there's still 6.5 minutes left of the second quarter, and Century was already in double bonus. And the Thunder made all their 3 throws, and that was huge. And then in the third quarter, they kind of traded 3s for 2s. Thunder hit 3s, Century hit 2s, and that kind of put it away. But it was a nice win by the Pocatello Thunder. But I think they were excited. But after the game was over, it wasn't like a huge celebration. You know what I mean? Like there's still business to play. There's still business to take care of. They're going to have to go down to Preston. Which again is, Coach Jones there has only lost 13 times or something in 8 years. So good luck. But even if that happens, then there'll be one more game, right? If Pocatello can win, there'll be one more game. And man, if that happens, that would just be a crazy game. And I'd plan on going to that because I think it would be at Pocatello, right? It would be at the Pit.
Yes.
So I would make my way down there.
Man, yeah, that would be a hot ticket for sure. So good luck to Pocatello and Preston. Again, not to belabor the point, but it is a damn shame. I'm going to swear it's a shame that one of these teams is going to be left home at state. Ridiculous. Okay, let's move to 3A. This has been pretty much all buttoned up here. Snake River beat Marsh Valley 59-55. So Snake River going to state on the boys side. Maybe could double dip. Rockland did it last year. They won the girls and boys titles. Snake River going to try to do that. District 6, you had Sugar-Salem beat Teton by 11, 66-55. So Sugar advances to state. They are not the 2 seed. They are the 1 seed. Let me change that real quick.
And what happened is what we talked about, right? Is Marsh Valley playing Teton now for that double play-in game. And we talked about that happening down there.
Yes.
That one of those teams too are still going to be pretty disappointed. They're like, hey, we took second in districts and now we got to go play another really good team from our same, East Idaho area. So, and they've kind of all beat up on each other. So that makes a super interesting game, which is tomorrow, that Marsh Valley Teton game. Thursday night at 7.
Yeah, it's a really good team is going to be left home, and possibly both if they can't get past. This 3C here is going to be probably McCall Donnelly, which is no slouch.
Yep.
So it's going to be tough. Good luck to Marsh Valley and Teton. They will play at Shelley on Thursday night. 2A District 5, Sean. This championship was last night at Preston. Bear Lake defeats West Side 56-50. The Bear Lake Bears back at state, death taxes and Bear Lake hoops, it seems like. And now West Side awaits in a play-in game. They will take on the loser of tonight's Nuclear Conference District Championship, Ryrie, taking on North Fremont at Thunder Ridge. North Fremont, the 4 seed. They trip up Firth on Monday night, 56-52, Sean. They were down by 1 with like 12 seconds left. Or wait, they were down by 2 with, oh boy, now I don't want to misquote here. I wrote about this on yesterday's bracketology post, and I don't want to misquote what the scenario was, but they were like, the win probability for North Fremont was like low. Okay, so 52-48, Firth had the lead with 20 seconds to go. Jed Hill hits a 3 from the corner for North Fremont, brings the Huskies to within 1, 52-51. They call timeout. They come out and press. Firth tries to throw a baseball pass down the floor. It's picked off by Dax Cherry. He's able to get it to Hill. Hill scores on a little scoop shot with 10 seconds remaining. It's an and 1. He makes the free throw. All of a sudden, North Fremont's up 2. Firth has a chance at the game tying 3. It's airballed short. North Fremont makes 2 more free throws. And the Huskies with a wild and improbable win. And now they are playing Ryrie for the district championship tonight.
Yeah, and if you look back, Firth almost beat Ryrie, right? So it was pretty close. But yeah, congrats to North Fremont for kind of finding their way into a place, in a situation where they can make it to state, and that's what you want. And you don't see a ton of upsets, sometimes, but for a 4th seed to go in there, Ryrie's going to have to be careful tonight, right? It's tonight.
Yes, tonight, correct. And then, the winner of that game advances to state. The loser will play West Side in a state tournament play-in game on Saturday. 1A D1 High Desert Conference Thursday night. Grace, Butte County once again. Grace won pretty handily in the regular season, Sean, but I will direct you to last Friday. Grizzlies only won by 1 point, 54-53. So all of a sudden, it's no longer a foregone conclusion that Grace is going to be the team that wins this district. And even if they win it, still have to play a play-in game. So fun times.
I don't even know what to say about that. But yeah, I mean, we've talked about it, but yeah, I like Grace's chances. They're a pretty tall team for this division. But I've said this before. If you play a team 4 or 5 times, I mean, throw the numbers and the seedings out the door, right? I mean, that's kind of the scenarios you run into when you have to play these teams, play each other multiple times to get to a place with the pressure and everything on your backs. Yeah.
So good luck to Grace and Butte County as they play tomorrow night at Thunder Ridge. And then we've got the Rocky Mountain Conference, Sean, 1A D2. We're at the Final Four. It is all of the top seeds. Rockland is hosting Water Springs tonight in the district championship game. Grace Lutheran is hosting Mackey. That game actually we're in real time here, Sean, just tipped off. So Grace Lutheran playing Mackey. I think I'm going to swing by there tonight and just peek my head in and see what the score is and how the game's going and stuff. I don't live very far from Grace Lutheran. But the winner of Grace Lutheran Mackey will play the loser of Rockland Water Springs for that second and final bid to state. And of course, the winner between Rockland and Water Springs wins the district championship.
Yeah. And you know what I like? Grace Lutheran always seems to have early start times, and I like what they do there. I'm just going to throw that out there. I kind of like the early start time.
Yeah. Well, tonight, Sean, you'll know this. You've got a religious upbringing, as I do. We're recording this on Wednesday, the 22nd. It's Ash Wednesday.
Yeah.
So they kind of stacked it where the game is at 5, and then Ash Wednesday service is at 7:00. So you just go straight from the gym to the church, and it works out pretty well.
Wow, it's a 2 for 1, huh?
Yeah, two for 1 special down at Grace Lutheran. So, yeah, it's going to be a good time for sure. So good luck to all of those teams, the Final Four there in the Rocky Mountain Conference. All right, Sean, there it is. We got through it all in pretty short order. Great work as always.
I try my best,
That's right. So next week, Sean, you and I won't have a podcast proper. In its place, we will have our live boys basketball state tournament preview show. And then I will put that into the East Idaho Prepcast feed. That gives you time to just kind of focus on tennis for the week too, with your tennis season starting. See, what a nice guy I am that I did that for you.
Yeah, I made so many bad predictions on the 4A girls one that they sent me a notice that you will no longer be doing the preview shows, and it's all right. I get it. But no, it'll be all right. I'm excited for these conferences to finish up. Like Southeast Idaho will probably be the last to finish up. It kind of looks like that when you look at your bracketology. Like all the other ones are decided, but Southeast Idaho likes to use the time that is given to them. You know what I mean? And it'll be fun to see. But yeah, I can't. Yeah, I'm not gonna go down to Preston. Late night in Franklin County. I don't know if that's where I'm gonna be, but if I'm excited to see what happens with that Preston Thunder game. I think that's probably the most exciting game maybe this week, really, on the docket.
Yes, there are so many good games, and you're right. That is chief among them, no doubt about it. So, all right. Well, big thanks to everybody for tuning in to the East Idaho Prepcast. We'll be back next week with our boys basketball state tournament preview special. Until then, for Sean Kane, I'm Brandon Baney. Thanks for listening on IdahoSports.com.